Across the country, our histories are being erased. The histories of marginalized communities, including Asian Americans, have long been excluded from our classrooms. And now, historical figures and events are being removed or further minimized in textbooks and lesson plans. Legislators have turned to banning books and stopping honest discussions of race, gender, and class in the name of ending critical race theory, a concept often misused and misunderstood by those wanting to end programs that promote diversity and equity. But knowledge, inclusivity, and truthful history are essential building blocks to an equitable future and to ensure we learn from our nation's checkered past. With the recent rise in anti-Asian hate and racism against communities of color, movements such as Stop Asian Hate and Black Lives Matter have risen up to fight for justice and demand equity for our communities. But this is not the first time that civil rights activists have had to make waves to protect our civil and human rights. Throughout their long history in the United States, Asian Americans were, and still are, perceived as foreign. When Asian laborers first immigrated to the United States in the mid-1800s, they were considered threats to the Western world. This racism led to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which prohibited Chinese immigration to the US for 50 years, and led to the incarceration of over 120,000 Americans of Japanese descent during World War II. During the civil rights movements of the 1960s, Asian American activism began as an effort to combat racial oppression. Led by major figures such as Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs, the movement was heavily inspired by Black Power and anti-war activists. Enter the WholeStory education campaign. Asian Americans Advancing Justice, AAJC, created the WE campaign in 2022 to advocate for inclusion of Asian American history, to address the growth of mis- and disinformation surrounding race, admissions, and critical race theory, and to help Asian Americans identify their role and opportunity to take action. So far, the campaign has advocated for affirmative action before the Supreme Court, lent expertise to the federal government, provided grants and trainings to local community organizations, conducted research on mis- and disinformation narratives, and mobilized students across college campuses in support for diverse and inclusive education. With the support of the Gucci Changemakers Grant, the WE campaign aims to create a national and easily accessible resource for those interested in local activism, as well as to provide greater advocacy trainings to community organizations to give them the tools they need to push for Asian American and diverse curricula in schools. Education is an essential long-term solution to hate, and the WE campaign hopes to uplift individuals and organizations to make a difference through equitable and diverse education systems.